What's up, guys? This is how I made $4,000 today trading gold in London session live on stream on my YouTube channel. Now, today essentially was a very tough day. There was a lot of mixed confluences and we actually had very strange price action during London session. Now, essentially what happened here is we were starting to push down in the start of the London session on the open, and we saw a very, very aggressive move back up to the upside here after tapping into some of our levels down here. Now, the issue with this trade is, and why we struggled to get an entry for such a long time, is that we actually had such a large push up where price was very, very overextended. You made no real bearish structure in this push up. In fact, there was no bearish candles for a long, long time. So we were a bit hesitant to enter into buys, obviously, because price was extremely overextended. Now, what I had here in terms of levels for support and resistance is we had a level over here at 30.20. We had our next top of the range up here towards 30.25, and then obviously we had some below, but for right now those are the only ones you really need to know about. Now, if we looked at the daily time frame as well, just quickly, the daily time frame was in fact bearish, but because of the fact that we came up and broke market structure with this 1 hour push here, we were actually okay in taking those buys for me, especially with this engulfing candle here. The previous bearish candle was completely engulfed by this move up. And the 4 hour actually ended up closing extremely bullish as well. So another good sign right there. Now, on the 4 hour open, a lot of times you guys will see me wait for a large bottom wick in order to grab liquidity. Now, that did not happen today. And you might be thinking, but Sam, why did you take the trade if there wasn't that much of a liquidity grab? The real simple answer was, as you can see, we have our very strong level here. Now, if you look in the past, we've actually rejected off this level a numerous amount of times, very, very heavily. You can see here we react very heavily off of it. We react heavily off of it here as well, and to the left too, we actually react off of it here. So we knew it was a very strong level, and for me, I actually wanted to see a liquidity grab come down and tap into this area down here at 30.17 right here. This was my liquidity area that needed to be tapped. Now, as you can see for this position right here, that didn't happen. We didn't actually manage to get that before we entered into the position. So why did we take the position anyway? And what was my reasoning behind that? Well, there's a very, very simple explanation, which is, first of all, the 15-minute time frame was consistently respecting, right? We'd essentially closed above on the 15 on the initial 4 hour close here, and then once, twice, 3 times, and then on the 4th time here, we actually made the push up. So for me, the fact that we grabbed a lot of liquidity here and actually respected the level over and over was a very, very valid indication that we were going to continue back up towards the next level. Or at least, if you were going to start to push down here, you needed to grab some liquidity from the upside first, which we hadn't done yet. So that could sort of be your advantage point there. Now, the 5-minute candle here was a very, very big, played a very big role essentially in why we took this position. You can see here, we grabbed the bottom wick and we actually flipped on that 1 hour candle and broke the highs here. And you might be saying, okay, cool. So isn't that your confidence gone? Once the highs are broken, that's normally my confidence gone, right? I won't take the trade. But in this case, we actually predicted this live on stream, which was a very funny moment. But I actually said I'm almost certain this 5-minute candle is going to break the low here. And if it does that and push down aggressively and reflip, then we're going to get in the buys. And what happened? You can see here this 5-minute candle at 9:30 decided to just rip straight down. Bearing in mind also that this was a 30-minute open here. This candle right here. Okay, the 5-minute candle ripped straight down, broke all the lows, actually tapped into a few liquidity areas here where these previous wicks have come into, as well as these little areas here. And once it did that, we saw a very strong rejection on the 1 minute, 5 minute, pretty much every single time frame, right? You saw a very strong rejection immediately as you came down and tapped into this previous level here. Now, after that happened, we were very, very confident. We put our buy stops in. So essentially, I had a buy stop on the flip of this 30-minute candle. So if we go back to here, we had a buy stop on the flip of that 30-minute candle right there as the next one opened up. So if we just click play here, hopefully it doesn't. Yeah, so okay, this candle opened up, as you can see. And as it made that bottom wick right here, we essentially placed our buy stop at this level here on the rebreak of that 30-minute high just there. And the confluence being for that is that the 30-minute flip right here should lead realistically into the break of the highs. So you could have placed your buy stop on the break of the high, but my reasoning behind it is if you're going to flip on this 30-minute after breaking all the lows and grabbing all of that liquidity, the likelihood is that you're going to break those highs anyway. So we can actually achieve a better entry and secure a better advantage point just by going and putting that buy stop a little bit lower on this candle flip. Now, what actually happened here and why I was a little bit aggressive with my stops to break even, the stops to break even level that I initially had here was right up here at 22.9. And we essentially went break even a lot earlier than that. The reason being, as you can see right here, this 30-minute candle, even though the previous one closed above, this next 30-minute candle ripped straight upwards without making any bottom wick. So in my mind, right here, this 30-minute candle at any point could have just flipped back down and decided to, you know, absolutely stop us out, right? That would have completely wrecked us. So what we actually ended up doing is I dropped down onto the smaller time frames here, onto the 5-minute, and I looked to the left for a level, and we found one. Where was it? I think it was around this area here, 3021.9 off of these wicks to the left. And when we found that level, oh no, it was a little bit higher, sorry. It was up towards 3022 flat, I believe. When we found that level, we essentially went break even at that spot, tapped straight into it. And yeah, we were about 10 pips up at that point. And that's when we essentially got our nice little, break even, risk-free trade secured. Then obviously we saw a very, very decent push straight through. All I wanted to see here was a 5-minute closure above the level, right? That's all I needed to see above this most recent high. Because as you'll notice, we're making a very good market structure shift here and a push to the upside with bullish market structure. We broke this high. Market structure is great. So we ended up catching that. And by the time that we actually got activated, it was relatively late into the trade because we'd actually been waiting for a long, long time. And the 1-hour candle was just coming up towards its close. So I actually wanted to wait until the 1-hour candle closed in order to manage. And what did we do? We saw a nice little bullish closure on that 1-hour time frame there. Like that. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Anyway, we saw a nice little bullish closure on that 1-hour time frame. What actually ended up happening as well is you didn't make this bottom wick first. You made a small bottom wick, which is perfect for my confluence. We actually trailed the stops up as well. So this would be the 1-hour low at the time. We trailed our stops up so that if that 1-hour candle did decide to flip, we would have actually got stopped out right here. And yeah, we inevitably came up and hit our take profit for a 1-to-1 risk to reward right there. Closed full at 31 pips. Very, very clean position, but it required a lot of patience, as I said, because you'll notice we placed the buy stop and we didn't even get activated until about 45 minutes after the buy stop was placed, so about 30 minutes afterwards. The whole trade itself, from placing the buy stop to actually hitting take profit, took around an hour and a bit, I think, which normally we don't do, right? A lot of the time our trades are between like 5, 10, 15 minutes, but this was a bit of a longer one, but absolutely no problem at all. We stuck to our strategy, followed the plan, and we were looking at essentially the 1-minute market structure the entire way up. So I use this to manage very, very well. Because look, as you can see here, there's no reason for me to close this trade right now. The 1 minute is printing consistent higher highs and higher lows as we push up. So until we hit my take profit, there was no reason for me to close. We took some partials along the way at around 20 pips. But other than that, there was no reason for me to close. Looking at that lower time frame structure, as well as those higher time frame closures for confirmation. And that's what you need to be doing when you're in these trades, right? You need to be looking at the lower time frame for your structure and your immediate management. But then also the most important thing is going to be your higher time frame closures, your 1 hours, your 4 hours, because that gives you an idea of, you know, the actual confirmations that we are making. Now, essentially that is it. We closed full around 31 pips, stops at 31 pips as well. This was taken live on the YouTube stream. So if you do want to go and watch it, I'll leave a link to the YouTube stream below so you can go and watch the trade actually being taken live, because that does actually help you guys a lot in order to actually go through what I'm thinking and see it in real time rather than just in the replay mode. And yeah, that's realistically going to be it. Now look, this strategy that I'm trading is a bulletproof strategy. It's absolutely incredible. If you do want to speed up your learning process rather than having to bounce about on YouTube videos, trade breakdowns, live streams, I'm going to leave a link as well to essentially my mentorship group, which is one-on-one coaching, and we will essentially speed track your trading, absolutely speed run your journey to profitability and we'll guarantee that you get funded within 60 days. And if you don't, we're going to work with you for free. Now, the link to that's going to be below. You can apply there, see if you're a good fit. Otherwise, look, there's a lot of free resources right here. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Drop a like if you haven't already. Have a great rest of your day, people. And yeah, that's the freedom of trading. One and done. Nice little position for the day. Around 4K profit. Cannot complain, right? But see you in the next one.